Welcome back.
My name's Madison.
And I'm Steve, and this is Streaming Things. And today, we have a very special episode for you. We're going to be reviewing the movie To Wong Foo. Thanks for everything, Julie Newmar. A patron-chosen film suggested to us by Caley Sampson.
Thank you.
And as you'll notice, Chris is not here today. He's got to do his great fatherly duties. He's got to take care of that sweet baby girl.
No.
So he will be out this entire week, as you by now know, because you already listened to the Monday pod. But today I have with me Madison. Madison,
hey,
how are you?
Good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. But I got a little bit of a surprise for you.
Ooh, surprise, surprise.
The surprise is it's not just your normal Steve and Madison shooting the spoof.
Not a normal shooting the spoof.
Because we have a third guest.
A very special guest.
Yeah, we have that extra heat.
You know?
Yeah. So welcome to the show with me, everybody. Erica.
It's me.
It's
Hello.
you.
Hi.
Hello, how are you?
I'm feeling really great. It's a great day. It's a great movie to talk about.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Why don't you tell the listeners a brief little, who are you?
Who am I?
Who are you?
That's really deep, Steve.
It's a big one.
Thank you so much. Let's start off by giving an existential explanation of who I am. No, I'm just kidding. I am just a real big fan of drag. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
you are.
super
Hell
excited about
yeah.
this movie because I love drag. I have gone to our local drag shows and I'm a huge fan. Don't hate me. My favorite guilty pleasure is RuPaul's Drag Race. Gotta have that.
That's a great guilty pleasure.
I love it.
Why
I
would
love
we
it
hate
so
you for
much.
that?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I don't usually watch reality TV or competition shows, but I live for RuPaul's Drag Race.
It's so good.
So good.
It's so good.
Well, it's appropriate because if none of you know what To Wong Foo is, it's very much a movie about drag queens and
Yes.
the life and culture thereof. And that, for me, is actually a blind spot for me personally, because even though I've always wanted to go to a drag show, I've never been.
We got to fix it.
I know. I really want.
They're so fun.
Can I go?
so
Can we
fun.
go together? Like the three of us?
Yes, please.
Can we
Yeah,
stop
amazing.
recording and go to a drag brunch?
Okay, stop the show.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
We do
This
a
was
drag
great.
brunch. We do a drag show in a club. We'll
Yes.
do it. We'll dedicate a whole day to it.
Yes, yes.
So obviously, when this movie was originally suggested to us by Caley, I really wanted to try to get an actual drag queen to be on the show for this, but all the requests and everything and the timing just didn't match up and everything kind of fell through. And Erica, you were actually helping me try to figure that out. And we, things didn't come to fruition, unfortunately. So you were willing to step in and lend in your bona fides as a fan of drag queens.
I'm a huge fan. I'm not super educated about it. I'm not a, professional by any means. I don't have authority to truly speak on it. I can just say how I feel and my support and enthusiasm for it.
I think that's great.
Yeah, because it's such a fun, to me as an outsider, again, I have no experience with drag culture. I did do a drag show in high school, but it was a bunch of high school seniors put up wigs, dresses, and makeup, and someone put a pole in the middle of a stage. It was more of a, let's do stripper moves on the pole, because what else are you going to do if there's a pole there?
Wow.
Right.
But so I feel like I'm at a disadvantage in talking about this, but I have, as an outsider looking in, it always looks so fun, so inviting, so welcoming, so creative. And I love just seeing the pageantry involved, because you all know me. I love a pageantry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it when people do a pageant.
Yeah. So I think that one of my favorite drag queens is Bob the drag queen. You love Bob?
I
Oh my
love
God.
Bob.
Okay. So Bob,
Of all the drag queen names.
yes, no, that's the
my
thing. Yeah,
favorite
Bob
one.
the drag queen. I mean, it's very,
She
it's honest,
slays.
it's direct. So Bob the drag queen explained drag as drag is blurring the gender line and creating art. So you can be a cisgender woman dressing up in high drag, and you're still blurring the lines. You're high drag. So, you know, you don't have to be a male assigned at birth. And there are drag kings as well. But essentially it's just that,
drag kings. Wow.
Yeah. It's just an art.
That.
It's an art, and it's a culture, and it's a whole thing. And I love it. I'm here for it.
So a lot of this movie going into it, so we'll get into overall thoughts here in a second, but like after this movie played, there were so many cultural references, and I think in jokes that like went over my head completely because I'm not in the culture. I'm not super well versed in classic cinema as well, as I probably should be, if I'm being honest. So after this movie ended, I did like go watch a couple like drag queens react to Wong Foo. And
That's
I went on IMDb and I'm like, who is this person that they reference? Because I don't know who that is. Oh, wow. They died at 33. All of them die at 33. It's wild. But, you know, let me start with you, Madison. What is your overall thoughts of this movie?
My overall thoughts, this is my second time watching the movie. And really it was kind of the first LGBTQ movie that I've watched as an adult. Or at least very obviously LGBTQ drag queen related. Well, I guess Silence of the Lambs, but that's not the same thing.
I don't know if that's the same.
It's not the same. Can't really compare the two movies. But I come from a stance of like, you know, this movie was made in 95, which I don't know what the drag scene was like in 95 or how well accepted it was, but I feel as though to have two very like headlining actors portray drag queens, because you had Patrick Swayze, you had Wesley Snipes, you had, I'm going to butcher his name,
John Leguizamo.
Yes. And then you had Stockard Channing. Like you had very big names in this very, I don't know, I don't want to say controversial, but a film that is about a very minority group of people, I think was very impressive to do in 1995.
Yeah, I think controversial for the time. I think that's accurate. Yeah.
And so I'm always impressed by actors, directors, writers wanting to tell that story at a time that it may not be accepted. So that's kind of where my overall thoughts are. And then, like you've mentioned, it's insanely quotable.
Yes.
Chi-Chi is fucking phenomenal. I want to hang out with her so bad. Noxima, I just want to go out with her, hang out with her, and then I want Vita to just take care of me.
Yes.
So it's a good movie, and I'm glad that I got to revisit it for the podcast, because there were certain things that when I was watching it the first time, I didn't pick up, or I did pick up watching the second time. So 10 out of 10, great movie.
10 out of 10.
Highly recommend anyone watch. And it's also very educational as well, I think. So.
All right, Erica, what about you? What are your overall thoughts for To Wong Foo?
I think, I loved it, but I think that it's really hard to come in and watch this for the first time in 2023. Things are just like way different now. And, you know, coming with the lens of what we're going through right now with drag queens being absolutely under attack, like that is like, well, things haven't really changed that much, have they? But at the same time, there is, I feel like it's very tame because it had to be. Like there's no actual, there's no sex in it. There's not any strong, suggestion of homosexuality or anything like that. It was very tame. I know that, I read a couple of criticisms where that was one of the specific things that they said is that, you know, they were never out of drag, and that's not real. Like, and I see where, you know, that could be like a plot point. Well, they can't be because they're afraid, you know, the town, they might get caught. So maybe that's part of it. But, you know, those parts of it where, you know, they very, very, very much dampened any form of sexuality. And they were never out of drag. But I think overall, I mean, coming from 1995, Is it
Yeah.
1995? Yeah.
Yeah, 1995.
Coming from the lens of 1995, I think they probably did have to be a little careful. You know,
Sure.
they're already doing something that's pretty outlandish. So I think they did have to be a little careful. And times are just different now. So overall, I enjoyed the movie. It was definitely a little campy, a little cheesy for sure. But for what
Very
it is.
big.
Yeah, for what it is. And I have to say, and maybe this isn't right, but no tea, no shade. Patrick Swayze was the least fishy queen. I'm sorry. The least fishy. I say.
Do you want to explain what fishy means to people who may not know? I mean, I know, but for people who don't know, maybe in the back, maybe you should explain.
You definitely know. Don't you? Fishy means like super realistic. That you don't know. You don't know. That
So
drag
Patrick
is so
Swayze
good.
is the least.
He's the least fishy, I
Okay.
think. Yeah, and we'll talk about that later towards the end of the movie. Towards the end, yeah. I think maybe you know what I'm talking about, medicine. Yeah.
Okay.
What about you, Steve?
Yeah, I really had a great time with this movie. So honestly, this is a movie that I had never heard of before. Never.
Really?
I never even heard of this movie.
Wow.
And literally when Caley sent the request, like, hey, I want you guys to do To Wong Foo. Thanks for everything, Julie Newmar. I thought, weird title for a karate film.
Yeah.
No.
Because that is just like what your brain goes to. And then I pulled up the movie like, oh shit, no way. This looks so fun. I can't wait to watch this because it's got a great cast. And I think, you know, as someone who's always wanted to go see a drag show, but can never go to a drag show, I was like, oh yeah, maybe I can like experience this. I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
And watching it was really, really fun. Like we mentioned at the top, there's just so many great quips and jokes thrown in. I was telling you guys before we started the recording that my scene by scene breakdown notes are kind of a mess for this movie because it's like bit of plot point mixed with a quote back to a plot point mixed with two different quotes. So like I'm sure going back and reading these notes are going to be hell. So, you know, apologies for that in advance.
Yeah, same.
But there was this really, really great, because I went and did a lot of research in this afterwards because I felt like, well, I'm not sure if I'm like in the position where I can speak to a lot of these things. So I wanted to go out and try to do my due diligence and do the research that I could. There was this really, really wonderful Vulture article by Manuel Betancourt. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. But they had something that I think really kind of encapsulates this movie in the article. It says... it basically says this movie is a movie that is both trapped by when it was made, but also, you know, what's the term? Like completely, you know, new for its time. Like it's like equal parts trapped by the 90s, but also like ahead of its time.
Yeah.
And I think that's so true because I think it's ahead of its time because of what the story it's trying to tell and the positive spin on it and everything. But then it's also trapped in the 90s because, like you said, Erica, it's like, we don't show sex.
Yeah.
We do really strange 90s specific jokes that go really, really hard in 2023.
Yeah.
You know? But to its credit, I think the spirit of the movie is still one of positivity. And I was watching I think her name is Trixie. She has
Trixie Mattel.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I was watching a
Love her.
Trixie reacts to this movie, and she was saying like, you know, a lot of people are like, you've got 3 cisgendered men who are playing drag queens, and is that okay? And Trixie was saying like, you know, hey, this is the 90s.
Yeah.
It's a miracle that they made this movie, let alone made it with, you know, 3 actual drag queens as the lead. Like she's like, I'll take for that time.
Yeah.
Take what you can get.
Yeah.
Like that's allyship.
Sure.
That's great.
Yeah.
And to her credit, Wesley Snipes, John Leguizamo, and Patrick Swayze are amazing in this.
So good.
They're so good. Like I legit, especially John Leguizamo, like I forgot that was John Leguizamo. Like he just bled into Chi Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Love it.
So much so, like I never
So
once was
good.
like, that's John Leguizamo. Never. I mean, I like Patrick Swayze, like you said, like there's Patrick Swayze, but man, he's having fun.
He did a great job, though. I mean,
Yeah.
I said he's the least fishy, but I just meant he just has such a strong chiseled jawline. You know?
Yeah. But I also think because of the different characters and all three of them have completely different wardrobe fashion sense.
Yeah.
And I think Patrick Swayze's character of Vita has the most like, oh, I'm just going to dress like an old woman from the Bronx.
Very classy.
Yeah, I
like
think so.
Housewife.
Waspy. Very waspy.
Yeah. Whereas the other two, like Wesley Snipes is always dressed up like they're from the 60s. And I think that kind of can fool you a bit better. And then John Leguizamo just has, for the most part, there's one scene where this isn't the case, but for the most part, Chi-Chi has the best outfits in the whole movie. Like every scene, like Chi-Chi's killing it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I really, really did love this movie. And I'm so happy, Caley, that you suggested it for us to watch because I never heard of it before. And this was just such a joy to watch.
It's a classic.
And then can I mention Robin Williams is in this movie?
Right.
Yeah.
Which, again, I love Robin Williams. He's my background on my phone. I don't know if you can see that, but
I love that.
it just was like this, I don't know, what's the word? It's a hidden gem of a movie. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not hidden because it's a very like prominent queer drag queen story, but it's just like all of these amazing actors. Anyway, sorry.
So it's funny because I think I'm trying to pull it up to verify this, but I'm pretty sure Steven Spielberg produced this, or at least was a bit. He had a big hand in it getting made. I'm trying to verify that, but
okay, Steven.
But there's a story of when the script came out. Steven Spielberg had the script and he was on a private flight somewhere, but Robin Williams was with him, and he had Robin Williams read him the entire script, and apparently like was just captivated by the whole script. And
you know, Robin Williams played into that. I want to hear him reading the script as Chi-Chi.
Absolutely.
Are you kidding me?
Can you imagine?
Oh my gosh.
And this is directed by Beeban Kidron. Beeban Kidron. And she was pregnant during filming of this, and her due date was like I think she actually had her baby on the last day of shooting.
Oh,
like,
wow.
She legitimately had her baby.
Dedication.
So if you look in the credits, her baby is actually in the credits as best baby.
Oh, that's cute.
Chi-Chi Jr.
But because she was
cute.
Because she was pregnant throughout the run of filming, Steven Spielberg actually had told her that if she ends up having to leave the filming to have her baby, that he was going to step in and finish filming for her, like uncredited.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
hey, Steven.
I know, Steven. What are you doing,
What
guy?
are you doing? I love that.
Well, do you all want to get into
Let's do it.
Scene by scene breakdown? Let's do it. Okay. We start off. It's Patrick Swayze. Look in a mirror.
Ow, ow.
Here comes Mama.
Oh, so good.
We get this sort of montage of both Patrick Swayze, who plays Vita Boheme of the Manhattan Bohemes, getting ready, as well as Wesley Snipes, who plays Noxeema Jackson. Mm-hmm. And they're all putting on their face, as it were. And little known fact, Patrick Swayze earned the role of Vita Boheme by improvising a 30-minute monologue inspired by the bullying he suffered as a boy studying ballet in Texas. So yeah.
That'll do it.
So maybe the sheriff's list kind of hit hard for him.
Yeah, I bet. He directed that part. He's like, can we just add this?
Yeah.
And what did you guys think about the montage of them putting their eyelashes on and getting ready and the shoes?
I loved it. I thought it was a very good representation of just the amount of effort and dedication to really immerse yourself in drag and how much it takes.
Yeah.
And just how like elaborate the look is, and they committed big time.
I can like barely put on eyeliner and mascara. Can we be honest?
I'm not wearing any makeup.
Like,
well, that's not true.
Those faces, like, you know, I stand.
But I want to know behind the scenes, like Pat, you said Patrick Swayze has a background in ballet, and I'm assuming theater, and they all, I'm sure, have a background in some, but I'm wondering how much instruction they needed to put on makeup. Like, it's just interesting.
Yeah, like obviously they had like a whole makeup crew to do all of this for them, which is so like funny with the movie and everything. Right. Because like, you know, hearing these real drag queens, they say like, oh yeah, it takes me like 3 or 4 hours to put on my face. And I'm like, girl, I literally can barely put on eyeliner.
I roll out of bed, I slap some mascara on, and I'm out the door.
Right.
Same. But no, like apparently they weren't the 3 main actors weren't fans of all the makeup because it took so long to put on every day. There's a story of the 3 of them, like after shooting, they all got together and threw all their makeup in wigs and burned them because they were just like, they're like, we don't want to put this on anymore. But they didn't burn all of them because apparently Patrick Swayze, one of his wigs survived because his wife put it up on auction in 2017.
Oh, that's sweet.
So,
well, I mean, it isn't art. It's a form of art. It takes a long time because you're trying to get it exactly right. And I can't imagine that kind of pressure and stress.
But I loved Noxima's eyelashes.
Oh, yes.
Because it was the very shimmery shine.
Yes.
Yeah, those were nice.
Classy.
I liked those.
Yeah.
We also get a shot of John Leguizamo, who's rushing to get to this this drag competition. But I guess Chi-Chi doesn't have her wig quite on yet, and so people on the street are throwing bottles at her, and it's really sad.
Yes,
but you can see that Chi-Chi's really into this and really wants this, right? But we get to Webster Hall where everyone is cheering on the contestants of the drag queen pageant. We've got our finalists, Miss Cheetah Riviera, Miss Missy, great name, Katrina Reyes, Cappuccino Commotion.
Ooh,
I like that one.
I like that
Vita
one too.
Boheme of the Manhattan
of
Bohemes.
course.
Noxima Jackson, Senorita Chi-Chi, and the crowd is going absolutely ape shit for them.
So it's basically RuPaul drag race.
Okay, and he was in it.
I know.
And Lady Bunny was in it. I'm so excited to see Lady Bunny.
I loved seeing them go down the runway, and I would love to be at that drag show. I think that would be so fun.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, RuPaul's character, who's sort of emceeing the pageant, she was supposed to be the previous year's winner. That's why they were emceeing.
Yes.
But her name as Rachel Tensions and wearing a Confederate flag dress. 10 out of 10 name.
Oh my God, so
good.
So good.
Yeah, I was a little confused by the Confederacy flag dress. I guess her name. What is the connection with the name? It's
Rachel Tension sounds like racial tensions.
Oh, that went right over my head. Because in my notes I have she's wearing a Confederacy flag dress. Is this foreshadowing them going to like a small conservative town?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Probably
later?
both.
Yeah.
Probably both.
Yeah. But
Rachel Tensions.
Rachel. Okay.
It's pretty bad.
Okay. Yeah, that's.
RuPaul says a joke about there's some dude who's wearing sort of like BDSM collar and he's like buff and jack and he runs up on stage at one point. RuPaul says like, if there's a snowstorm tonight, he's going on my tires. I don't understand that joke.
It's because he's chiseled and he'll do traction. At least that's what I'm interpreting.
Yeah. Snow tires have spikes on them, his chest and everything. Like, you know, like.
Okay.
And also.
Thank you for explaining that.
Just a little side note too, on RuPaul's Drag Race. Not this is about that,
Let's
but
do it.
They always have these like super hot dudes come in and they've always got outfits on like that.
Yeah.
And they are kind of like, you know, they're the Vannas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so he has his own Vannas and they're usually dressed something like that.
And then what does he say? He says, I'm so excited. I could just spit. And I just was like, oh my God, yes. I love it.
Some of the other famous drag queens that are there. You mentioned Lady Bunny. There's also Candace Kane, Coco Peru. Hedda Lettuce.
Yes, Hedda Lettuce.
And Lady Kateria. It's Kateria, right?
I don't know that one, actually. I'm not as familiar with her.
I did read a funny story about Coco Peru specifically because they auditioned for their roles in this, and Coco Peru was saying they got onto the stage and everyone's walking the runway and doing splits and doing all the
it's a thing.
The big things,
Yeah.
So what Coco Peru did to sort of differentiate herself is she just took a margarita glass and then walked down the runway and just scowled at everybody and got to the end of the runway and scowled and then like just crumpled up the glass in her hand and walked back and just kept and so if you watch the movie, Coco Peru is the drag queen scowling at everyone.
I love it.
I love
Coco Peru. Oh, love her.
Well, they're all competing in this pageant to win an all-expense paid trip to Hollywood, California in order to compete in the Drag Queen America contest. So
Actually, really quick. So I was born in 98 and I wasn't really exposed to drag queens until I was in high school, I would say, because that's when I did Little Shop of Horse. Oh my gosh, Rocky Horror. Why did I? Okay,
Horror Picture Show?
Horror. Yeah, I did that in high school, and that was kind of my first real experience with like drag and like that type of culture. But how did you guys get familiar with drag queens in the 90s? Like, what was there? Because there wasn't RuPaul, or there was. I don't know.
I actually grew up like in an incredibly conservative religious family, so I did not get familiar with drag queens in the 90s. So it's very much, like basically my whole family was the sheriff.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I didn't get familiar with that. I honestly, like, this is something that I really fell into probably in the last 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I didn't really know any of these drag queens, like Hedda Lettuce and Miss Coco Peru. Like, I didn't know any of them. And you guys seem to be familiar. I just didn't know if it was like there is.
Oh, to be fair, I only know their names because I looked it up and did research. I didn't notice. I only knew RuPaul in that scene, like just off my own. Like, oh, I know who RuPaul is.
Because I didn't know. It was like, were they like very prominent figures in pop culture, like in the 2000s? But I guess it's just like, because like celebrities like Brad Pitt, they were like movie stars, but in this sense, it's like, how were they getting the attention, the publicity to be notable drag queens?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think RuPaul met Lady Bunny in Georgia, but I could be wrong. I mean, like, we could always Google that later. But,
sure.
So RuPaul, I think, is the first person who put Lady Bunny in drag. So he says. But they were like really famous. I think they went to New York and became very famous there.
Gotcha.
But I know a lot of these other drag queens because of RuPaul's Drag Race, and like, he'll make comments about like in the old days and what they did and how things were. And I always love, that's my favorite part, is like all the history of all this, because they've gone through so much and they're such powerful figures, and because they had to persevere through all this bullshit.
Right.
So I really know.
There's a really strange sort of correlation, and I could be wrong about this, so like interrupt me if I'm totally wrong. But just hearing the different stories about it, like, because there's it was a big scene in New York, right? And I hear a lot of similarities between like the underground punk movement from like the 70s and stuff, like being in like shitty little dive bars, just trying to like do this thing, and because when I was watching the review from Trixie was saying like, no club that you do a drag show looked like this in the 90s. Like, you would be some shitty ass dive bar is what you would do this in.
Yeah. There's a term for it. Bar queens versus club kids.
Club kids?
Yeah, bar queens are the shitty little dive bars, and then like the club kids are like, I think it might be in reference to like, things are a lot better now. So you started in the club and you got those dollars in your hand.
You didn't grow up when we had to start off in the shitty ass bars and get bottles secrets thrown at us.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't mean to derail. I just was curious.
No, that's good.
Like, I would have grown up knowing these via RuPaul, but I didn't know if there was another like way that people were like learning about these amazing drag queens.
Probably pretty secretive. You had to probably be in the know because it was dangerous.
Sure.
So,
gotcha.
Again, this is me speaking with no authority at all, and you guys have to stop me. I'm just so passionate. But
no,
I get really into you to stop me.
Give me the passion.
I love it so much.
We're here for the passion.
See, I should be a drag queen because I am like over the top.
Remember rule number 4, the 4 steps to true queenliness. Larger than life is just the right size.
It's just the
all right,
right
Erica?
size. That's
I want you to
me.
be
I'm
larger
the
than
right
life.
Size.
I want you to be the right size, girl.
I want those steps on a t-shirt.
Me too.
I know it exists somewhere.
It has
to. It has to. Someone has to have like a poster that you can point to.
Somewhere in the depths of Etsy.
Give me the 4 steps of queenliness.
I put
right
it on
now.
my bulletin board at my new job. Really set the tone in the office.
You should.
Right?
You should.
And then I just have the pictures of them in drag on my bulletin board.
Yes. I love it.
Well, at the end of the competition, we have a tie.
It's a tie.
Chi-Chi initially steps forward because she thinks she has won, but sadly she did not. It's in fact Noxima and Vita who are tied for first in this competition. And Chi-Chi's very, very sad. After the show, Vita and Noxima find Chi-Chi crying in a stairway. And this is like one of the funniest things. Like, why is that little Latin boy in drag crying?
Oh my God.
Noxima, go ask that little Latin boy why it's crying.
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah.
And then I love Wesley Snipes just walks up, little Latin boy,
Oh my God.
why are you crying?
Why are you crying?
Why are you crying? Like the line delivery is so good.
It's so good.
But Chi-Chi says that she hates her life. She's crying because she really wanted to win this. She worked really, really hard. And Vita kind of, this is the first sort of instance where we find out that Vita has like a very paternal soul. She wants to mother hen people. She wants to be this learning tree that people can sit under. And she decides that she wants to sort of adopt Chi-Chi into their crew and help this young little Latin boy in drag crying.
Oh my.
And isn't Noxima like, wait, what? We're doing what?
Yeah.
We're doing what?
She's very resistant, and I love that all of her references, she's very old Hollywood. She loves to make movie references, and she mentions that she ain't gonna drive Miss Daisy. She's done with that. She ain't driving you no more.
Yeah.
I love it.
There's a really funny part where Chi-Chi's saying like, you guys are just so beautiful. And Chi-Chi looks at Noxima like, I wish I was as beautiful as you. And Noxima goes, oh, honey, good luck.
Yes. The confidence.
I
It's
love.
just so.
I live
it.
for it.
But
I love
apparently we
it.
get a little sort of window into the relationship where at some point Vita also helped Noxima when she
Yeah.
was starting off.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's this fun sort of relationship between the two of them where they're obviously very good friends. Vita, like I said, she wants to go out of her way to help people. Noxima is like the opposite, where she like does not want it. She just wants to stay in her lane, not, rabble rouse because shit might hurt her.
Mm-hmm. She
But
likes to stay safe.
But she's
Yeah.
so loyal to Vita that she
Yeah.
goes along with Vita's
Right.
schemes. Yeah.
Vita is very much like Mary Poppins. I'm here to fix.
That's good.
I'm here to fix you. Like
Practically perfect in every way.
Yeah, very much.
I like that.
So they end up taking Chi-Chi they're like, hey, we're not going to take these tickets on a plane to Hollywood. We're going to bring Chi-Chi with us. That means we got to have a new mode of transportation. They know a guy who they can sort of like sell. I forget how she kind of describes this character, like the dude that knows things or can get anything you want in New York.
Yeah.
So they go to this club and they meet Mr. John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt, played by
Subtle.
Robin Williams.
I love him
So good.
so much.
So good.
What were your reactions when Robin Williams entered the frame?
I screamed.
Well, when I watched it the first time, I was like, you're fucking kidding me. He's
Yeah.
in this?
Right.
Oh my
right.
gosh.
Yeah, he's uncredited. He's not
Is
in the
he really?
credits.
Really?
Yeah, he's uncredited.
I
in
didn't
this
know
movie.
that.
Do you think some of this led to Birdcage? Like, he was
That's
so
what
good.
I was thinking.
Because it was like the year after. Or maybe
Yeah,
he's already
Birdcage-
filming. He could have already been
Hold
filming
on.
or something.
Well, they definitely filmed this before the Birdcage, but
Yeah,
maybe like they
but-
filmed this and was like, "Hey, this was fun. Let's do Birdcage
Yeah.
next." Because
Because-
Birdcage came out the next year.
Yeah.
Birdcage was 96.
He's so good. And it had the very similar character vibe, right? Because
Yeah.
he's like, I'm in the know.
He's basically
I've
that
got the money.
character.
Yeah, he basically is.
Yeah. Maybe it was just his character from Birdcage prior to.
Right.
Yeah.
He's workshopping it.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all a canon event.
This
is-
This is the Birdcage cinematic universe.
To Wong Foo
love
is the prequel to the Birdcage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So good.
And this scene of just Robin Williams sitting with the three of them at in this booth at this club is just a whirlwind of just absolutely hilarious lines. Like so many
So
people make this
good.
joke, but like it gets me every time where he's like, I'm John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. Noxima says, oh, your name is my name too. And he's like, oh, do people scream it? I hate that. And at one point, he says like, "Oh, Chante," and Vita or maybe Vita says it, and he goes, "You speak French? Oh, how bye? Like, look at you. I'm like a compass near north. Like,
Oh, no,
that's great
yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
He's crushing.
What I've noticed, like, I noticed this leading up to this point, but it's kind of a recurring theme throughout the movie. But I feel like every scene could be treated as I don't want to say an SNL skit to like deplete the importance of the film, but like genuinely like for comedy, I feel like every scene could be taken out and interpreted, put on stage and performed because it's like the dialogue,
there is a
the
stage
character
play quality to the script.
Yeah. Yeah. And so this scene in particular, I don't know if it's just like the bouncing back and forth and how all of them are kind of immersed in their characters. But I was like, you could literally take that one scene and put it elsewhere and it would smash. It would be great.
Smash.
That's really interesting to like think about. Like that's a good like thought project right there because, you know, they probably had to lace it with comedy. You know, you probably couldn't make this a drama in 1995. So they probably are like, more comedy.
Yeah. And
add more jokes.
that's why you have Robin Williams.
So good.
Yeah.
And that goes back to some of the criticism it had. Like at the time, people were saying that like drag was the safe sex that Hollywood could get away with because it was always sexless, but there was an implied sexualism to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the jokes do crush.
Yeah.
And it's very funny.
And there's very much a comedy aspect to drag. It's just like interesting to think about, you know, like how much comedy there is.
But they're taking Chi-Chi with them. They need to dump their round trip tickets to LA. He gives them $1,000 for it and suggests they take a bus, but you know, Noxema, she's like, oh, you must have me confused with Rosa Parks. I don't drive on I'm not riding on a bus.
Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah.
But they think maybe they're going to go on a train, but it's too expensive. So instead they're going to go to this local car rental place, drop John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt's name to get any car in the lot for 50 bones. And this whole time, guys, Julie Newmar has been watching over this entire conversation. That's the title of the movie.
Which I had no clue who Julia Newmar was prior to watching this movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I honestly, I'm only familiar with her as Catwoman from the original Batman series.
Yeah, that's how... like when they said that, I looked her up and I was like, oh yeah, maybe I've seen her before, but I was not familiar with her work or like her significance prior to watching the movie.
I had to look her up by name for sure. I was not familiar. But my favorite role of hers was she was in the musical Seven Brides for Seven Brothers.
Oh.
She was Dorcas, the highly sexualized one.
Fair.
I like the idea of the highly sexualized one
Her
being
name is
named
Dorcas. So good.
Vita nicks the photo because, you know, it's a sign, right?
Yeah.
That this needs to happen because Julie Newmar is so statuesque, right? So I did a little bit of research, and I don't know how true this is because this actually, one of these little clips is from IMDb trivia, so who knows if this is actually true. But Wong Foo, or Fooey, as his friends call him, was the head bartender of the China Bowl restaurant on 152nd West and 44th Street near Broadway. It closed in 1993, but the walls of the restaurant were basically this place. They made this. And so in that restaurant, it would be a lot of like stars of the time would sign autographs to that. And that's where the name comes from.
Okay.
Is this, I guess it was like a big thing, a big bar for the scene at the time.
Yeah.
And you would see like this To Wong Foo and then like a person's autograph, right?
Oh, that's cool.
I did read that they actually filmed a longer scene that explained the importance of it, and they cut it. So I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, well.
Well, there was a time they weren't sure if they could get the rights to Julie Newmar's name for the title.
Oh, I see. That might have been why.
Oh.
They did have a replacement in mind, but I forgot to write who it was. But it was another starlet.
To RuPaul.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh my God. To Rachel Tensions.
To Rachel Tensions. To Hedda Lettuce.
Oh, I love it.
So Julie Newmar, like after the film released, this is kind of a funny story. So after this movie was released, she started doing convention circuits because around that time was when like nerdy conventions would start happening. So she would go to the convention circuit to do like her Batman her Catwoman stuff.
Yeah.
And apparently the first convention she ever went to, she didn't quite understand the format. So she ended up getting like really drunk at it. And somebody brought a To Wong Foo, thanks for everything, Julie Newmar, VHS copy for her to sign. And she was like, who the hell is Wong Foo and why should I be thanking him?
Oh my God.
man.
Man.
That's awesome.
You know, Julie Newmar.
God bless her. I think she's still with us.
I don't know.
I
didn't
just
Google
looked
it.
her up. and then I didn't look at that information.
Because I was looking up like a bunch of the people, and like I said, a lot of the like we're about to get our first reference of a Hollywood starlet, and a lot of them die very young.
She do be alive.
She's born in 1933, right?
She's 90 years old.
She's 90.
Killing it, girly.
Wow.
She's 5'7". Shit.
She's a Catwoman. She's got 9 lives, guys.
Yeah, she does.
You got a strong point. Can I just derail this conversation even further and
Please
say
do.
that the whole time they were having this conversation, Chi-Chi had lipstick on her teeth.
Oh, really?
You know, she's supposed to be the one who's not classy or refined and everything. And she's learning and everything.
Yeah,
but
she's learning the trade.
Cut to this scene where Chi-Chi is smiling and she's got this big lipstick on her teeth. And I'm like, okay, I think they're just characterizing her further. I really hope so. And that's not an editing error.
Which I can imagine the characterizing of these three people were so fun.
Oh, I bet.
We don't need to derail anymore.
Right.
We can bring it up later, but yeah. I can imagine it was super fun to make these characters.
It moves on to her like taste in the car lot when they go. But go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, they get to the car lot. They find this Cadillac that looks incredible. The dealer's like, please, ladies, for your own safety, take the Corolla.
It'll never make it.
Style or substance?
Right.
Yeah.
Come on. Is
I
it
look
even
like
a choice?
Jane Mansfield in this car.
This land yacht.
Oh my God.
So Jane Mansfield was the first star that I had to look up. She was in The Loves of Hercules, A Girl Can't Help It. She died tragically at the age of 34 in 1967 in a car accident.
I didn't know that.
There was an urban legend.
Irony.
There's an urban legend that is not true. I know, right?
Maybe it is an irony.
Yeah,
It's a subtle call
I think that's the joke.
Yeah. Oh, shoot.
Yeah, I think that's the joke.
Shoot.
But because there was a long running, and I think it was a Cadillac, because there was a long running urban myth that she was decapitated in the car accident because
I'm so sorry.
what happened was there was a semi truck trailer that had stopped because the car in front of it had stopped, and the person driving her, because it was her boyfriend, and someone else in the car. She wasn't driving. They didn't notice that they stopped, and so they ran into the back of the semi truck at 80 miles an hour, and like the car went under the truck.
Can I just clarify that I'm laughing hysterically not at this story
At
that
this
you're
tragic
telling?
story.
I'm laughing hysterically because I'm like, wow, they really went there.
Yeah,
what a
that's
morbid,
That is a
dark
morbid joke. To get into a car and say, I feel like Jane Mansfield.
Oh, no.
Wow.
Her decapitated.
Again, this is why I feel like, because when I watched this movie, and they said that, I didn't understand that reference. I had to go and look it up and be like, oh shit.
The thing,
That's dark and
that's
funny.
very dark. I know, I have dark humor, so.
I mean, kudos
Sorry.
to the writer for that.
Yeah, that's pretty deep.
Yeah.
So they start driving around. We're seeing all sorts of little bits of America. They drive through. Is it okay? So my iPad definitely auto-corrected this into what it's not, but it's the town that Vita's from.
Bala Sinwid?
Bala Sinwid. Okay.
Is that how you pronounce it? Sinwid? Bala Sinwid?
I think.
It's Welsh.
It's Welsh.
It's Welsh.
Yeah, this is Vita's hometown. It's a very, affluent neighborhood. There's a ton of like very rich homes. There's got to be a historical marker around here or something for it being Vita's hometown.
Mm-hmm.
She gives them the tour. She shows them her family home. She's like, "Oh, why would you leave this?" And, you get the idea that Vita's parents were not accepting of her and kicked her out. In fact, you see her mother come out. There's like a little moment where she waves at her, and the mom just turns around and goes right back into her. It's sad.
It is very sad.
Very, very sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Chi-Chi, not fully understanding the situation, as she never does, is like, well, I would stay. Next time you make a decision like that, tell me so I can stay here, girl.
Oh, I love her. So good.
And then Vita rips up the map, says maps are cheating. I don't quite understand why she did that. I understand she's upset, but
It was just a moment.
I think
She
it
was
was
having a moment.
I think it was a moment of just let's just get out of here type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
instead of maps, they're going to rely on instincts and exquisite wit.
Yeah, good luck.
Which, reversing back to the wide shots of them driving, I just had this thought of like, these are stunt drivers dressed in like wig and drag, just driving around, and there's just a helicopter filming these people driving across the country. And I think that's awesome.
And the soundtrack is fire.
It is fire.
Obviously, they're going to include Barbra Streisand.
You have to.
Obviously.
You have to.
You have to. She's an icon.
At this point, we get the "You're a Boy" "You are but a boy in a dress" conversation where Vita and Noxima are kind of sort of chastising Chi-Chi that she has not earned her stripes, as it were, to be considered a drag queen. She is still a boy in a dress. They break down the differences between what drag queen is, what transsexual, which they get that definition completely wrong.
It's all wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all very wrong.
But it was the 90s. This is a different time.
It was the 90s. Yeah.
But I do love how they explain that to be a drag queen is when a gay man has too much fashion sense for one gender.
Absolutely.
That's a great explanation.
Yes.
Yeah.
This upsets Chi-Chi. She tries to bail. Like, I'm not just a boy in a dress. And they get her to come back by saying she is a drag princess.
Yeah.
And she's like, a princess is younger than a queen. And Noxima's like, shut up.
P to the R to the N to the S.
Oh my God.
And this is when we get the introduction. Noxima introduces the 4 steps to becoming a drag queen because, as you know, she is the Duchess of Protocol.
She said, hold on to your hot sauce. So
Love it.
quotable.
Love it.
Do you guys remember what the 4 steps to being a drag queen are?
I'm going to be honest. I got to 2 and then I stopped writing them down.
I don't remember.
Well, I think it's implied that they're making that
They
shit up
are.
as they go along.
They are.
Right. So step number 1, God grant the serenity to accept being a boy in a dress, the courage to change with the fashions, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Let your good thoughts. I have let your good thoughts be your sword and shield. So I don't know what I was watching.
Number 2, ignore adversity.
There we go. You're doing
Number
good.
3, generosity, putting someone else's needs before your own, abide by the rules of love. And number 4, larger than life is just the right size.
Man,
Again.
I missed those last 2.
I need that on a shirt.
It's pretty good.
Well, the very last one they say in the last shot of the movie.
Oh, okay.
It's
Yeah.
when they reveal themselves at the
Okay,
competition.
okay,
I think Noxima says it.
Okay. That's probably what I missed.
Let me see.
There,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say there's another montage where it's late at night and Chi-Chi's like, I need to be in a bed. I can't be sleeping in the car. And Vita and Noxima are nervous to go to a hotel because of obviously,
Violence. They're afraid.
Could be scary. But Chi-Chi takes matters into her own hands and goes into the hotel. So good. And she's approached by, and so Vita and Noxima go in to like try and retrieve her because they're like, oh my gosh, no, like you're going to get hurt.
This is middle America. It's kind of dangerous to be this way.
And I guess a hotel staff walks up to Chi-Chi and was like, hi, ma'am, I should have approached you outside. And there's kind of this moment of like, oh, he's going to tell her to leave. But then she's like, the hotel staff is like, here, your people are around the corner. And Chi-Chi's like, you ain't too rich to have no friend or something. What did she say? It's like, you're not rich enough to...
I didn't write this one down.
I didn't either.
She said it as they were walking into where the quote unquote ladies basketball league dinner was.
So good.
The manager, who I think is Michael Cera from the 90s, mistakes them for women's basketball players.
But
So
as they're walking in, Chi-Chi's like, you ain't too rich to earn a friend or something like that. I think that's what it was. But
so funny.
I was like, that's solid. And then you see the next scene is Noxima just like killing it in basketball with all these women.
Hilarious.
Oh man.
So good.
Yeah.
Every single person who watches this movie in 2020 who's like,
Right.
transgenders can't play sports, like that just like scared them. Oh,
Right.
Right. Right.
he's playing basketball.
They didn't make it that far in the movies. They turned it off long ago.
Yeah.
They turned this movie on like, ooh, Patrick Swayze, he's putting on makeup.
Shut down.
Click off. Yeah.
No one puts baby in makeup.
Oh my God.
This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. It can be tough out there as we try to navigate the many twists and turns that life throws our way. Not every problem we face has an obvious or easy solution, but talking through these issues can always bring major benefits. So whether you're dealing with a career change, relationship help, or just getting used to your new normal, therapy helps you stay connected to what you really want while you navigate life, so you can move forward with confidence and excitement. I myself have benefited from therapy. I have benefited from BetterHelp. I was struggling to find myself and figure out who I was post-divorce. BetterHelp matched me with an amazing therapist who taught me all about codependency, what it was, and ways I can combat it and realize my whole true self. So if it sounds like therapy is the right move for you, then give BetterHelp a try. It's online, convenient, flexible, and can work with your schedule. Filling out a brief questionnaire is all it takes to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time. To start your own therapy journey, visit betterhelp.com/streamingthings today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/streamingthings. Hey Stream Fiends, over here at Streaming Things, we like to give a special shout out to all of our members of our Patreon, but we want to specifically shout out our super patrons for the month of August. So thank you, Becky Ladusky, Caley Sampson, Stanton Valentino, Huckleberry Cauliflower, Giancarlo Gasparin, Mike from New Hampshire, Brett X, Emily Scarano, Little Tickler, Svento7, Jay Scramo, AK Ashley Ray, Adam Busby, Wendy O'Laughlin, Jason Hawkins, Trey Barrera, Conrad, David Malfara, Professor Beth RN, Rabbit Dog in a Barbie Car, Jose Ruben Cruz Rodriguez, Charlie Friday, Alexis Adler, The Pedal Peddler, Emmy, Joe Velez, Valerie, John Collins, Amber McVeigh, Amanda King, Trisha Bueller, Sun Loving Mortal, Suzanne Rode, Jadinklage Morgoon, Jen Robinson, Kate, Kalisha Reeves, Aaron Armstrong, Kevin Strother, Jeanette Murphy, Ashley Powers, Stephen V, Casey McCain, and Enza. Thank you all so much, and back to the show. So we get some more driving. They're waving to some people on the train, which is kind of a funny shot. I just like the idea that they spent a day filming that and hired a bunch of people to be on a train to wave at them as they drive by. What a weird thing to include.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're driving through these one lane streets that are kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's night. Chi-Chi's reading them romance novels. The last person I saw on this side of the road didn't have but 2 teeth in his mouth. Mm-hmm. So we must be in West Virginia.
That cracked me. I wrote that down as a note too. They think they're in West Virginia due to lack of teeth.
Yeah. At this point, a cop pulls them over. And Vita's kind of worried. They're still dressed up. Vita's worried that even though the cop might mistake them for women at first, that once they see the license, Vita's real name is Eugene. And because, again, they're in the middle of nowhere, she's worried that this could be dangerous. And in fact, it is, because the sheriff is the worst.
Yeah.
Piece of shit.
So this sheriff...
I have written, the cop is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
My notes.
Yes.
So this character of Sheriff, I'm just going to call him Dullard. I know it's a misprint, but it's the best name.
Yeah.
Sheriff Dullard, this character, I've never seen a movie introduce a character that's so evil, skeevy, gross, and scary when you first meet them. And then for the rest of the movie is a complete fucking joke.
Yeah.
But he's still all those things, especially dangerous and scary. He has guns.
But I think it really kind of shows
and guns.
The situation of the sheriff pulling you over at night. That person has a lot of power in that situation. So it's very scary. Yeah. But then once you remove them out of that situation, that person's real true identity can be seen, and you can see them as this guy's just an idiot, a piece of shit, hateful, evil idiot, but an idiot that you can point and laugh at and mock, right? And I think that's really, really good. So this dude he's super racist.
Yeah.
He's super misogynistic. He's very insecure. He's like, it's a misprint. My name's Dollard, not Dullard. But he's attracted to Vita and is like, hey, why don't you come out of the car with me? And proceeds to try to sexually assault her.
Yeah. And let's kind of talk about that because, and it'll come back later in the movie. He thinks that Vita is the prettiest. And as I said in the beginning, I think Patrick Swayze's character is the least fishy of all of them. So the fact that, Vita has this really strong jawline still, strong lady, right? Beautiful. We'll get there. Beautiful, but a strong lady. And it's so interesting. And I think that comes back later in the movie. He thinks that Vita is so pretty, which he also says racist terms, and Vita's a white lady. So, that could be part of it too.
I also think, everything about this character is, this guy's 100% repressed in his own sexuality.
Absolutely.
And in his own perception, because he is super racist, specifically towards black people.
Yeah. Both.
Well, both, but they make like several instances where he specifically is like calling out black people throughout this movie.
Yeah.
But at the end of the movie, there's something that happens like, oh, I think he has a thing. I think this guy's like just 100% repressed.
Yeah. We'll get there when we get to that part in the movie. But I just wrote down N-word and S-word. Nope, kill him.
Yeah.
But Vita pushes him. He tries to like put his hand up her skirt.
Yeah.
And there's this great line like, get your hand off my dick, buddy. And pushes him off.
But it's very like deep voice. Like, get off my dick, buddy.
Patrick Swayze from Point Blank comes out in that one moment.
Here's another note. Okay, so these people are never out of drag so far. This whole movie.
Yeah.
They have to tuck that shit, okay?
That's gotta hurt.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So they've been driving around this whole time. No wonder he didn't want him to touch his dick.
Sore.
That's sensitive. Do you know what we have to go through for this to be in drag the whole time?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel for him. That probably extra especially got him knocked out.
Oh, yeah. So a little bit of behind the scenes for this. I think Patrick Swayze, I think he meant it as partially a prank, but also he wanted to get Chris Penn, who plays Sheriff Dollard. He wanted to get Chris Penn's surprise reaction of quote unquote feeling his dick to be genuine. So Patrick Swayze shoved a giant corn cob down his pants. And so when when Chris Penn's putting his hand up his leg, he touches the corn cob. And so like that like reaction that you see on screen of like, oh, is actually him reacting like that. What is that?
Oh, wow.
That's not a dick.
Corn cob.
Wow.
So
Sheriff Dollard falls to the ground. Chi-Chi runs up to him, does the whole like, checks his pulse. Don't quote me on this, but I think this one's deceased.
Oh my God.
Deceased.
So bad.
They bail, but in the commotion of them trying to run from possibly killing a police officer, Vita leaves her shoe behind.
So Cinderella of her.
Very Cinderella.
This is like a reverse Cinderella.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, don't find me, actually.
Right. Yeah.
So they find a rest stop. They change clothes. Unfortunately, now the car is dead and they have nowhere to go. Excuse me. Vita and Noxima's plan is to just sit there, I guess, and wait for someone to help them. But Chi-Chi, she ain't doing that. She goes and hitchhikes, and luckily for her, she gets picked up by Bobby Ray. Bobby Ray picks her up. And you know what the key to her hitchhiking is? She's got more legs than a bucket of chicken.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
She's a Latin Marilyn Monroe.
Oh gosh.
Oh my God.
So good.
So Bobby Ray is this nice little country boy. He's going to take them up to Snydersville, where there is a repair shop that can maybe possibly repair their car, and they can stay there. We're introduced to Virgil and Carol Ann. Virgil is the mechanic, and Carol Ann is sort of the keeper of the house that they're going to be staying at. I guess this dude has like a house where people can stay at and also repair cars.
I think it's like supposed to be like the town motel or something.
Or like bed and breakfast.
Yeah, bed and breakfast.
Place.
Yeah. It gives motel vibes, but yes.
Yes.
Bed and breakfast.
Yeah.
So this is another joke. So Carolina's kind of giving them the look of the room they're staying at, and like, do you have a room that's more hospitable? This is the presidential suite.
Right.
Oh,
so good.
That must have been one of them bad presidents. But at this point, Noxima says the last black person to stay here was Sam Cooke. Which again, if you know how Sam Cooke dies, is a really dark joke.
So dark. So dark.
If you don't know, Sam Cooke was he got tricked by the person who owned a hotel room. Like they hired a prostitute to like trick him into coming into a room, and they knocked him out, stole his pants and wallet, thought they had killed him and like left. And he woke up with no pants, no wallet, stumbled into the lobby, sees them counting his money and is like, hey, give me my money. And they shoot him, call the police and say, hey, this dude tried to rape us in a hotel and ran. The cops show up and just see a black guy with no pants, dead. And they're like, well, case closed because they don't know who it is. And also it's 1960s America.
Oh
Right?
my gosh.
And it wasn't until the next day when Sam Cooke was supposed to have a show and they were like, where is he? He's not here. He was staying at this hotel, that they were like, oh, whoops. So yeah, very dark joke by
I did
by
not know
Vita
that.
here.
So isn't it so interesting? This movie has layers. Like,
Right?
cheesy, like goofy, like, oh, this would never happen. And then they come
There's
in with this
darkness.
real dark, real comedy.
Which,
I love it.
The writer for this film was Douglas Carter Bean. And this is really the only major notable film that he wrote.
Well, kudos to him because,
Or excuse me,
wow.
he did write Advice from a Caterpillar in 1999, but he doesn't have a lot of credits, to my knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, this movie is very, very funny, very lighthearted, but also there is several very, very dark things, not just in the humor, but like
Right.
the scene with Sheriff Dola that we just went
Yeah.
through. And then there's a plot line with Carol Ann and Virgil.
Sure.
It's like, it's
Yeah.
dark. It's dark stuff.
It is. It really is. And honestly, like, we made jokes about it. It's obviously sexual assault is never funny and it's not a joke. But yeah, it is. It's very real. And it was a very, again, calling out, this is 1995. This is dangerous.
Yeah.
Even in,
It is dangerous.
1995 doesn't sound that far away. But yeah, it was still very much dangerous and still, so much, racism and homophobia and, it was not a safe thing for them to be just like traveling around, stopping into these towns, not knowing where they are. So, as goofy and as funny as it is, it's also that's pretty realistic. I think these things happened and, I'm kind of glad that they aren't glossed over and, the scene was uncomfortable, but it's real. It was, a true experience. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. So they kind of make their home here in this room for a little bit. Everybody is, they wake up the next morning, everyone in town is just staring at their car. I guess
The whole
nothing.
town.
I guess not a lot happens in
All
Snydersville.
15 of them.
Because
Yeah.
all of them are just like, you fixing another car, huh? I guess this is our week's entertainment.
Right. And then they walk out of the hotel and it's like 180 head turns.
Love it.
Here they come towards the car.
Love it.
Virgil says it'll take all of 5 minutes to fix the car. When he gets the part that he has to order,
Right.
it'll come in on Monday. You're just going to have to live in this town for the weekend, basically. Carol Ann starts to pipe in and he goes, Carol Ann? Not right now.
Oh my gosh.
And that's our first sort of like inclination of like, what's going on with there? What's that about? What's Virgil? What's up his keister?
Yeah. My note is Virgil's an ass. Takes Carol Ann inside.
Yeah.
Some local boys roll up, they're creeps.
I have town Neanderthals.
Yeah. That's a perfect
That's a
way to
good
describe
one.
them. Oh my God.
Neanderthals. I love that.
Vita Bohema, the Manhattan Boheme, introduces herself to the local lady. She asks, what is there to do around town? And then before anything else goes on, they go back into the room now that they know they have to stay here for a couple of days, and they Wonder Woman the room. The Wonder Woman theme plays. They're doing like the Wonder Woman spins, the
Love it.
I Dream of Jeannie
Yeah.
head bounce.
Doesn't Chi-Chi do like a little nose wiggle?
Yeah.
Oh, I
To
missed
turn-
that.
to turn
That's
on the light.
amazing. I love
the
it.
Bewitched, like
Yeah, like
I love it.
I can't even do it. I probably look stupid.
let's all do it.
It's so.
I just move my face around.
Yeah.
How do you just move your nose?
I can't.
Yeah, it's weird.
My whole face
I guess
goes
I'm
with
not
it.
a witch.
No.
Send us some
Dang it.
videos of you guys doing it, listeners.
If you're listening, try it right now.
Yeah.
Wiggle your nose.
They already have.
Yes. Yes.
Plot twist: Sheriff Dullard is alive.
Dang
Some
it.
other deputies pick him up off the
Darn.
side of the street. He's a little taken aback, but we'll more on him in a little bit. The ladies of town are gossiping with Beatrice.
Love it.
There's this older woman named Clara who seemingly is deaf, or she doesn't communicate with anybody else. She just kind of sits
Does her
around
own
and
thing.
does her own
Love her.
thing. Yeah.
Me in a town. Leave me alone. Leave me alone.
I could definitely see you as a Lady Clara. Like, I want to be out at this cafe, but don't fucking talk to me.
It's like everyone here has no like
Boundaries?
spunk or anything. I'm just gonna sit and not talk.
But Noxima takes an interest in Clara because she finds out, like, one of the ladies says, like, she used to hang out with this producer, Robert Meacham, which I meant to look up Robert Meacham, but I didn't get to that name. But Noxima, who's all about Hollywood, is like, oh, I got to become friends with this woman. Clara drops something on the ground, like a letter or something.
I think, was it a photo? Or no, it was a letter.
I think it was
It was a letter.
It was a letter?
Because we're going to come back to that later.
That's right. Yeah, it's the letter for Robert Meacham.
Yes.
And so there's this really funny, I love this wide shot that just lingers of Noxima chasing, like, honey, you dropped this letter. And then Clara does like this, did you just Yui me?
She's like, girl, did you just do a Yui? I died.
I'm gonna get you.
I died laughing at that.
So good.
Oh my gosh.
The relationship between Noxima and Clara is my favorite thing about this movie.
It's good.
adorable. I would watch a movie just of these two.
Oh my God, everywhere.
characters.
Going everywhere.
Yes.
So good.
Oh man.
We cut to Officer Dullard, who's being questioned by 3 other police officers. And you think they're taking him seriously. And one of the officers says, let me get this straight. You got beat up by a girl? Misogyny. Bow, bow, bow. And he's like, they're not girls, they're boys. One of them was black. Like, oh man, come on.
Yeah.
Why does that matter?
Yeah.
And he goes on to call them perverts, and he's like, I'm gonna go solve this case, and when I come back here, I'm gonna bring back 3 corpses. Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And they're all like, okay, like very not impressed by him at all.
We're not impressed if you bring back 3 corpses. We're cops.
Right. Okay, so another Tuesday. Cool. Just a normal Tuesday.
Yeah. But they don't take him very seriously
No, not
in
at
this
all.
regard.
He's not a serious man.
He's wearing fucking cowboy boots.
And
Which is like slay, but also very unpractical as a police officer,
He
in my
also
opinion.
looks like the love child of Jonah Hill and Donald Trump.
Yeah. He does resemble Jonah Hill. I did make that note. I like the Trump add-in. Yeah. What was that actor's name?
Chris Penn, I think is his name.
Poor guy. He's doing a good job. We all hate him.
What else was he in? Oh,
I don't know, like, to his credit, I think he does play this character very well.
Yeah.
I think he's very good at, like, he's able to walk that line of being like a threatening, racist, evil character, but also a
dullard.
Dullard. Yeah. Yeah. He plays the dullard very well.
Right. Dolt.
Chi-Chi is walking down the street. She ends up being followed by one of the local boys. It's the Neanderthal boys.
It's the town Neanderthals. They're back.
They are seemingly going to, I don't know, assault her in some way.
Yeah, probably.
It doesn't look good.
It doesn't look good.
Thankfully for her, Bobby Ray shows up and is like, pulls up in his truck. Get in!
Bobby
And she
Ray.
hops in and they make their escape.
Chi-Chi's like, now that's how you pick up a lady.
Oh, yeah.
Love it.
Love it. Vita catches Carol Ann crying. She has a pretty nasty shiner on one of her eyes. Vita's trying to get her to open up about it. She's not. She's being very cagey. She's a victim of domestic abuse, obviously. There's this whole discussion where Vita's like, oh, you're making a stew? I know a great recipe for that. And she's like, hey, don't do that. Virgil hates spices. Because she at one point says, like, she was crying because there was chopped onions, and Vita says, like, hey, I'm noticing there's actually no onions in this kitchen.
Yeah.
Which, she kind of came in hot. Vita,
bit.
she came in hot. Like, Carol wasn't in the place where she was ready to receive that kind of attention. Vita came in hot.
Yeah.
Carol Ann was not having it.
That's the only way Vita of the Manhattan Bohemes can do it.
Very confrontational.
But yeah, Virgil doesn't like spices. Don't spice the chili. And she scoops them out.
Okay. Yes. There's this ongoing thing where it's like, I scooped out the spices. She keeps saying, I scooped them out. I don't think you can fucking do that.
But also, it's paprika that she puts in this.
No flavor, really.
There's no spice to paprika. It's quite literally just
Orange powder.
It's just flaky coloring. That's what paprika is.
Maybe it was smoked paprika.
Maybe.
I can taste it.
Yeah.
He couldn't taste shit.
Virgil looks like a man who only ate chicken McNuggets until he was 35.
Right? Yeah. It's gonna be my kid.
I mean, where are my chicken nuggies?
Yeah.
As an adult, he still eats chicken nuggets.
Right.
I mean, I still eat chicken nuggets.
Well,
But that's not like the only thing.
As a
No,
luxury,
no.
not as a rule.
but it's like you wouldn't go to
it's
a
like, ooh,
Chinese
McDonald's
restaurant
Day.
and just order chicken nuggets.
No.
You know?
No.
I know some adults that still do that.
yeah.
Yeah, those people, like, come on.
Yeah.
Let me get out of that shell a little bit. Come on. It's
That's
nice.
Virgil.
Bobby Ray has blue eyes. Just thought you guys needed to know that.
Oh.
He doesn't have a girlfriend. He obviously he's driving Chi-Chi around. He's clearly smitten with her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He takes her to a billboard for Coke, where it says "Love that Coke," and he crossed out the word Coke and wrote Chi-Chi.
Mm-hmm.
He vandalized that billboard.
I mean, that's the most romantic gesture you can do for a partner is vandalize
right?
something for them in their
That's
name.
love.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can go to jail for that, and God only knows what kind of sheriff dollar jail is like. Oh
Make
no!
it 4 corpses.
Right. How dare you
Throw
deface
Bobby
that?
Ray in
Deface
there.
that Coke sign. Yeah.
I wonder how much they got for that product placement of Coke.
Right?
Oh, they had to have got a pretty penny from that.
No, they crossed it out. This is Pepsi money.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Those outfits ain't
Pepsi
cheap.
said, hey, we're
Right,
going to give
right.
you, we know
Yeah.
Coke said this, but actually.
Right.
Bobby Ray tells her, "You'd never cry from anything except happiness if you were my girl."
Oh God.
That's,
I know I just met you less than 12 hours ago,
yeah.
It's love.
but I'm in love. But Bobby Ray,
He doesn't seem old.
Bobby Ray seems like he's too young for Chi-Chi.
I was thinking that as well.
Right.
Because I'm all assuming that, you know, Vita, Noxima, and Chi-Chi are at least late 20s, right?
Yeah.
Mid-20s. And Bobby Ray seems like he's 18 or 19 years old.
Yeah. Yeah, because Bobby Lee, who is the other young girl who has has
Carol
the hots
Ann's daughter.
for, she's Carol Ann's daughter. She has the hots for Bobby Ray. She seems like she's 16.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's probably like a fresh 19 to 21.
Yeah.
Something like
19
that.
22.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. So Bobby Lee, I think it's Bobby Lee. Is it
Bobby
Bobby Lee
Lee,
or the
yep.
other unnamed daughter of
Bobby
Carol Ann?
Lee.
It's
It's Bobby Lee, yeah.
She visits Vita, who is picking flowers for Carol Ann.
Mm-hmm.
I love this allegory of like these flowers. They grow in darkness, but boy, do they blossom.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's sweet. Bobby Lee tells her that. Wait, what?
Yeah.
Oh,
Bobby
yeah.
Lee.
So Bobby Lee says like, "Hey, I know what you my mom told me what you really are.
Bobby Ray
You're
did.
career girls."
Bobby Ray told
Bobby
her.
Ray told her.
Yeah. What Vita
Why are
really
they both
is.
named Bobby
It's
something?
so confusing.
I hate it.
But yeah, Bobby Ray told me what you are. Yeah.
And there's so because they're always walking on eggshells. Like, oh
Yeah.
no, do they know
Like, oh, that I'm a man.
we're drag queens? Oh no, oh we're career girls.
You're a career girl. That sounds exciting.
We get to Clara, Noxima, and Clara. Clara. At first, Noxima's talking about like her plan to star in a Hollywood film. She's going to be this version of Miss Dorothy Dandridge.
Love it.
And then she starts talking about Dorothy Dandridge's like filmography, and at this point, Clara chimes in.
Yeah, she
And-
reaches over and touches her hand because she's just so excited. And this lady is not, she doesn't know if this lady's listening to her at all.
Yeah.
And she reaches over and touches her hand. And it was like a significant moment. I thought that was so sweet. Like she
Yeah.
looked down at her hands and decided, you know what, I like her. So sweet.
Yeah, Clara is this woman who is just a huge cinephile, lives in a town that only has one TV and it's hers. And so she has nothing to talk about with
Me.
anybody.
Literally me in that situation.
You are Claire.
Like,
I love it.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
but I also like how, you know, so Noxima is a black drag queen, and you have this
Yes.
very old woman who is
Yeah.
in this very conservative, I'm assuming conservative town.
Yeah.
And, you know, she, I feel like, would have the most racial, like, discriminatory. Like,
That's what I was thinking that would
and-
happen. Yeah.
And so just to have the juxtaposition visually of these two characters,
Yes.
but to have them have so much in common with each other is
Yes.
very beautiful. And I
Yeah.
really liked that.
Yeah.
And also just the acceptance of Noxima accepting this older woman who
Yes.
I could assume would have these assumptions about this old woman
Right.
being very racist
Right.
and, you know,
Right.
not being very accepting. but then on the flip side for Clara, right, the old woman,
Yes.
to be very accepting and just wanting. It was just very beautiful of a relationship to see on screen, and I love how they play off of each other. And Noxima, how obsessed she is with
Love
her,
it.
Yeah.
so it warms
it.
my heart so much.
Love it.
So good.
We see Virgil tasting the stew. So many spices, and throws the pot against the wall.
No, this is where he just this is the part where he just threatens to hit her. He's just like, psych out.
Yeah.
I can hit you.
He does that dumb thing like, I'm just playing.
What do they call it? Juke it? Juke?
He's like juicing her, or like
No, juking is when you're like avoiding somebody.
Okay, no,
Yeah.
he was like fake threatening. What if I hit you? Oh, so stupid.
He does that-
he was like, can I hit you again, or something like that?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Why you always
this
arguing
makes
with
me
me?
so mad.
Yeah.
Which, again, I think the focus of this film is obviously, you know, the drag queens, but also it really does embody like the mistreatment and the misogyny of women. Like,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
and
Agreed.
I think this example between Carol Ann and Virgil is kind of to build off of the drag queen narrative,
Yeah.
also into misogyny.
Yeah.
But man, it just would enrage me so much to watch them on screen. But anyway, because there's people that do that, and it's so annoying.
So gross.
Just the power dynamic. Sorry, I'm ranting.
No, you're absolutely right. Like he's a piece of shit for sure. Speaking of pieces of shit, we cut Sheriff Dollard.
Great segue.
That was a
Who,
nice one. Yeah.
has created a list entitled Places for Homos.
Oh my God.
Do you want to know what these places are?
Yeah. what's
Yeah.
that?
Flower shops, ballet schools, flight attendant lounges.
I love that he spelled flight attendant wrong.
Oh, did he? I
Yeah,
didn't notice
idiot. Yeah.
Well, then-
Restaurants for brunch.
Yeah.
Love all those places so far. And then the
Antique
last
shop.
one, I'm such a homo for antiques.
When
Yeah.
was that? So again, I was a young child in the 90s, so like this type of stuff wasn't really in my purview. But was that a thing in the 90s where like, oh, you go to antique shops?
No, probably just anything that like seemed feminine. That for, anything that's, gender
Or just
assigned
seemed like-
female,
Like if
at the time.
If you were like predominantly masculine male and you see other men doing feminine things, I
Right.
think there was this toxic masculine
100%.
interpretation of like, oh, well, you must be a little,
Yeah.
a little gay to
Yeah.
be going to that. And like to throw out the term gay was referred to as very
Yeah.
like non-masculine energy.
Yeah.
So I think it was just,
If you weren't a dude bro, you were automatically effeminate and maybe gay.
Yeah.
Like just in that culture. It's so disturbing.
Yeah, I still used to get that. I remember growing up. I'm more. I think you could say like I'm more sensitive. I'm not into sports. I've always been nerdier. So growing up in the 90s, I do remember like, my brothers or some of like the bullies in school will be like, oh, and also my last name's May. So I got that quite often,
Oh, really?
We got to start blazing through some of this.
Yeah,
I know.
Sorry.
We're getting there.
But Beatrice is working on decorations for the Strawberry Social that's coming up. They need a theme. They come up with red and wild. That's the theme, right?
Yeah.
there has to be a theme.
yeah,
has
you have
to.
to.
And they want to have a ladies' day,
A day with the
Yeah.
girls.
a day with the girls. That's right. Yep. So they're going to go get makeovers and everything. Beatrice and Jimmy Joe. That's his name, right?
I called him Jimmy John's the entire time.
I called him 3 different things. I called him Jimmy
his
John's,
name
Jimmy
is
Jams, Jimmy Joe, because I could not remember what it was every
I
time.
feel so bad
Right.
about it.
But Beatrice and Jimmy Joe, they're going to get the decorations for the party. They definitely are like into each other. It's
Yeah.
cute. It's sweet.
It's very cute.
Dollard's not getting anywhere on his list. He keeps going to like ballet school and just kind of looking at the kids like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
He's just an idiot.
Yes, the children's ballet class looking for the drag queens. An idiot.
Yeah. So the women come out of their
the beauty parlor.
beauty parlor. They
Yeah.
got their hair did and everything. They look great. They look
Fab.
fantastic. And the town Neanderthals show up.
Yeah.
And they're being very rude. And Noxima decides to put them in
Catcalling.
their place.
This time I called them Redneck Clan.
Nice.
Redneck clan.
I think this is my favorite scene of the whole movie.
It was so good.
Break it down for us.
Yeah.
So the Neanderthals are saying, as you just said, they're being very rude to the very beautiful women that have just come on and catcalling them and stuff.
Yeah.
So Noxima walks up to them and prompts Tommy to apologize. He's like, no, I'm not going to apologize. So to show the boys how to properly behave, Noxima grabs this guy's dick.
Just grabs him by the dick.
Drags him over.
Tommy's a tenor now.
Grabs his dick, drags him over to the women, and essentially tells Tommy to, tell them good evening, tell them how great they look, and to apologize properly. Yeah. Which I thought was a very, very good lesson, but also very invasive. But no, it was good.
And he says bathe next time.
Bathe, yes.
Wash your hair.
Right.
Yeah. Which, okay, technical thing with this scene. I felt, Steve, did you notice the lighting was very bizarre in this scene? Like, to me, it looked like there was overcast. Or no, it looked like there wasn't enough overcast and they had to like shine the light, but there's like very weird shadows on.
There was definitely a secondary light source other than the sun.
It looked bizarre to me.
There's a shot with Virgil at the end of the movie that's the exact same thing. Yeah. I think they were just dealing with, you're shooting outside. It's a little squirrely with the exposure you need on cameras.
Yeah.
And they just did a not as amazing job lighting that they should have. There's also some really, really very strange edits in this movie, but we'll get to that one.
A lot of continuity errors I noticed as well, but that we can talk about that another time.
Those are whatever.
Yeah.
I do like that at the end of this, Noxie's like, I hate guys like that. It's an affront to the very delicacy of my nature.
And I love how she also ends it like, you just got to know how to talk to people.
So funny.
So good.
But they go to a clothing store. Noxima finds a whole box of clothes from the 60s that the clerk was going to throw out.
Bedazzled as shit.
Everything's bedazzled. Everyone loves it. They're all having a great time. Vita gives the store clerk the autobiography of Diana Vreeland to the store clerk to kind of give him a better sense of what fashion is and what it can be so his store can thrive, because that's what Vita's about. Yeah. Just paying it forward. Carol Ann is watching all this from her house. She seems to love it.
She's having a good time. She's just, watching everybody. And then Virgil comes in and like does this weird
it's like he was making fun of her, but he thought he was being really cool.
Right.
He was really proud of how he was dancing and making fun of her.
I was like, you look like a dork.
Yeah.
But
so gross.
Yeah.
You look like a dork.
Yeah.
Dork.
That's when he does
the
stew on the ground,
or whatever.
Yeah.
Is it chili?
It's stew. It's stew.
Okay. That could have just been like, oh no, the boiled water's
potted
gone.
meat. Who knows? Like it was brown.
Yeah.
It was gross. Yeah.
Too spicy, apparently.
Too much paprika.
Yeah.
Vita tells Jimmy Joe to add a surcharge on every meal to make his cafe
even
better.
The whole town is zhuzhing up, and they're zhuzhed. They got those tacky little candle holders that are bejeweled. Everyone's zhuzhed, the whole town.
Chi-Chi arrives, says she has a secret romance. Bobby Lee also has a secret romance. Methinks it's the same one. Poor Carol Ann is doing more cleaning. She's crying. Vita catches her and says, hey, do you ever not cry in this room? Which is like, God damn, that's kind of mean.
Yeah.
Let's see. The ladies are on the porch now, and Bobby Lee is kind of crushing hard on Bobby Ray, who shows up. And it's like, and this whole time they're telling Bobby Lee, like, oh, if you imagine it, things will happen. So she's like, oh my God, it's happening.
Teaching her to manifest.
Yeah. They're like, have you heard of The Secret? And so Bobby Lee's like all excited because she's finally going to get asked out. But instead, he asks Chi-Chi out.
The drama.
Everyone's super upset. Chi-Chi tells him to come back in an hour. And this is when Vita and Noxima are like, Chi-Chi, you can't go out with Bobby Ray.
Right. He doesn't know.
He doesn't know.
And you're also probably significantly older than him.
Right.
And this is when, Chi-Chi's kind of saying really kind of mean things to Vita. Like, you're not...
Freakazoid white lady.
Yeah, freakazoid white lady.
Because she's superior. She's telling the black lady and the Latin lady which way is up, down, and under.
Yep.
She's just vanilla.
Yeah, she's criticizing her for bossing people around who never asked to be bossed around. And at this point...
Calls her Ann Landers.
Who's Ann Landers?
Oh, the advice columnist.
Oh. Nice.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
I guess that was only special to me.
Advice columnist on what?
You know, you write in.
Sure,
it's
but on what
the-
publication?
Like, I don't remember.
I'm
like,
looking
you
it
know,
up.
like, it's like a Dear Abby.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like how the first thing I wrote Ann Landers and then meatloaf came right after. Is she notorious for a meatloaf
I don't know.
recipe?
I'm not sure.
But it is an advice column.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at this point, it's when we kind of hear Virgil beating up Carol Ann. Like, you can hear it. And Vita really wants to go help.
Yeah.
Noxie and Chi-Chi are like, hey, you can't do that. Noxie says, like, you could get yourself killed.
Right.
There's this kind of dark, but the delivery still made me laugh when Vita's like, oh my God, I think Virgil is beating up Carol Ann, and Noxie goes, most likely.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And this is when Chi-Chi tells Vita, like, you couldn't cut it as a man. That's why you put on a dress.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like, damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They went
They went
hard
for
with each
blood.
other.
Yeah. But, that doesn't
There was
stop
definite
Vita.
shade.
Yes.
There was. That doesn't stop Vita from running down the ramp and beating Virgil's ass.
She just kicks the fucking door open, like, bam.
Yeah.
I hear you. I what did she say? Something like,
You like to hit women?
I
it
hear you
appears
like
to me that you like to hit women. Yeah.
And
Hit ladies.
yeah, and Virgil's like, sometimes women need to get hit, and Vita's like, sometimes men need to get hit back.
Right. First she slaps him.
Yeah.
And then she's like, oh yeah, I meant to do this.
Bam.
Boom. Punches
Just
him. Clocks
knocks him.
him right in the face.
And
Love it.
Vita works out.
yeah, Carol Ann is like, being comforted by Noxima and Chi-Chi.
Virgil's gonna hurt Vita so bad.
And Noxima's like, no, Vita works out.
Mommy,
Vita,
I need to tell you something about Vita. She works out. She works out a lot.
She works out. But then we go back to Dullard is checking. He's doing, I guess, like traffic
As a
stops.
roadblock.
Yeah.
Right before this,
Okay.
Vita actually tosses Virgil out of the bed and breakfast.
Get
so
outta
he like
here.
Get
kicks
outta
him
here.
out. So he
That's right.
slinks off.
Yes. But Dullard is doing like traffic stops, like has a whole blockade and is stopping, looking for criminals.
It's the most pathetic blockade, too. It's like two cones, and it's just like has like a piece of paper that he drew.
Right.
So bad.
And then this flashes to the drag queens and Carol Ann in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but this scene, so Stockard Channing is in one of my favorite movies, Practical Magic. And I don't know why, but this scene in particular gave me Practical Magic energy. I don't know why. I think it's just the reminding of the margarita scene.
Yeah. They're having a kiki.
Yeah.
They're having a little kiki and spilling the tea.
And I was like, they put the lime in the cookie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was waiting for that music to start.
So
but
good.
anyway.
Yeah, they're talking about how Caroline says we need to get rid of all the men.
Yes.
Mr. Rogers is okay.
Period.
And maybe Mel Gibson. Yikes. We can get rid of him, too.
Yeah. We
But
can get
she
rid of
says,
most.
as long as he doesn't speak.
Because he's got a nice can.
He's got a nice can, you know?
Yeah.
Bobby Ray comes back, and he's talking to Chi-Chi about how, she's great. She says, you make me feel like the most perfect girl. But he says, like, honesty is the most important thing. Like, you should never keep a secret from the person you love. And then at that point, Chi-Chi's like, shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, you can keep one big secret, right? Like, that's okay. And he's like, no, total honesty.
Yeah.
So Chi-Chi, I wrote, Chi-Chi gives Bobby Ray back to Bobby
Yeah.
Ray.
She's like, you can have him. It's fine. It's fine. It's no big deal.
And this is when she has abided by the rules of love.
Yeah. That's
She-
step three.
step
She's
three.
putting someone else's needs before her own. She is surrendering the beautiful Bobby Ray to the beautiful Bobby Lee.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Let them be together.
Yeah, so at this point, they apologize to each other for the outburst, the fight
Yes.
that they had, Chi-Chi and Vita.
Yes.
And then they start encouraging Bobby Ray. Bobby Lee. God
They make
damn
her
it.
over. They make her over, and then she's all beautified, and she's standing in a silhouette, just waiting
Yeah.
for her man.
Chi-Chi, is that you?
Yeah, Bobby Ray comes up behind her and says, Chi-Chi? But why would she be Chi-Chi? This is short, like white woman
It's a
with blonde
very-
hair, stick
very
straight blonde
different-
hair. Yeah,
Yeah.
not
very
at all the
different.
same.
And yeah, Bobby Ray's like, oh man, Who's Chi-Chi? Who?
Yes.
I'm all about
Most
Roberta.
of the men picture, even Bobby Ray, who's the quote unquote hero, have
Yeah.
been depicted as very stupid.
Very stupid. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So-
like he has that moment where he takes her glasses off and notices she's been beautiful the whole time.
Ew.
Yeah.
That's a very cheap. Like it's fine
she's
for
all that
this.
to her.
Right.
Yeah, it's fine for this movie, but very cheesy trope.
It's like a quick patch up. Like, okay, we did that. All right, check.
yeah,
Check.
yeah.
Okay, so for the rest of the movie, I'm going to refer to Bobby Lee as Roberta.
Okay, I
All
love
right?
it. Yes,
For my
that's
own
what
sanity.
Roberta,
But of
please
course,
do.
the only way that they could have any quote unquote love in this movie is a heterosexual
Yes,
relationship.
correct. 100%. Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm. That's the only possible way, yes.
Yes.
So Bobby Ray and Roberta begin dancing, and then like creatures of the night, these random people just
Yeah,
come
they
out
all
of the
come and start
darkness
dancing.
and
Yeah.
start dancing with
I
everybody.
love it.
Jimmy Joe asks Beatrice to dance. It's sweet.
Yeah.
The
It
Gre-
took him 23 years.
Yeah, even the Neanderthals
Yeah.
come out and dance with some people.
Yeah.
It was okay. This scene was giving me. I mean, so obviously, like, there's been a lot of increasing. Like the town has been painted very dull, and the colors are very like. This is a production design conversation, but it's just like the town itself is very dull. Nothing
Yes.
remotely colorful,
Right.
aside from the drag queens and their very
Yes.
prominent color outfits. And I felt like this scene, it was the first time that the whole town was kind of, in match with themselves. I mean,
Right.
the town itself was still a little dull, but it
Yeah.
gave me Pleasantville
Yeah.
vibes.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
definitely. Definitely.
If
Yeah.
you're not familiar with that movie,
Yeah.
it stars Tobey Maguire and Reese Witherspoon. Very good movie. But yeah, it was just like, okay, I love the progression
Yes.
that has led to this moment.
Right.
Very good production design and costume design
Yes.
leading up to this moment.
Dullard is hammered at a bar. He
Yes.
seems to be discovering something about himself at the bar, possibly.
Yes, this is what I was referring to earlier. He is like, he's basically narrating a gay porn and he is into it. He's like, men touching their masculine hands. And
The scent of rugged aftershave.
oh my God, like, and I'm just like, he's like feeling, he's acting like this is bad with his face, but his voice is saying, I love it.
I feel like that's the exact direction that he was given.
Right.
Like your voice is into it,
There-
but your
But your
face
face
is
is
not.
not.
Yeah.
No, I'm horrified by this thing I love.
Right.
I love watching the scene. I love watching the one guy in the background because the one guy in the background, the way he had the dude staring, I'm like, you all right? Like, sounds like you're going through something, buddy.
Yeah.
I love watching that dude.
Oh God.
But at this point, like
Virgil walks in, right?
Virgil walks
Yeah.
in, he sees the shoe that Dullard's been walking around, and then there's this weird cut to black between
Yeah.
the two because they meet each other. And I feel like there was more to that scene because Dullard is obviously way more hammered than he was a second ago.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So I feel like there was probably an extended scene. He was like, "Where are these fucking like he's wobbling about like he's about
Yeah.
to do like really bad drunk person acting. But then it just cuts
They
to black.
made it seem like Virgil recognized that shoe, but I'm like, okay, if you guys are cis straight white men, excuse me,
You ain't looking at shoes.
you don't know whose shoe that is.
Yeah.
You've never seen that
Yeah.
shoe because that's not an important thing to you.
I
Also,
think
she
so.
lost that shoe before she met you.
Right.
But
Maybe she was still hobbling around on just one shoe.
But it's implied that if
Yeah.
Virgil runs into
Right.
this character who's like, I'm looking for drag queens, he
Yeah.
might be like, I know a lead.
That's true.
And-
Did he know? Do you think Virgil knew?
Well, he probably like listened to it, was like,
Oh, well,
there's
also
some,
when he got punched in the face. Never mind.
I
Yeah.
think it's assumed
Yeah.
that there is a conversation had between these two
Yeah.
characters that insinuated,
Right.
that Virgil told Dullard where the
Yeah.
drag queens were.
right. But Carol Ann is fixing the car for Vita. She asked her to stick around for the strawberry social. But then she says that she's going to miss her. But then she's like, it's really nice to have a lady friend. And Patrick Swayze's like, oh, if we're going to be friends or something, I got to tell you. And then, Erica, why don't you?
The thing about it is, before Vita can say what her secret is that she's been keeping from Carol Ann literally says, Adam's apple.
Adam's apple.
Adam's apple. Like, she just keeps saying it. She says it 5 times in 20
6 times.
seconds. Well, she says it, and then she says it one last time. Yeah, for the 6th total
period.
time. Yeah, she knew from the first night that Vita was a drag queen because she saw that she had
Adam's
Adam's
apple.
apple. Not an Adam's apple. It's an Adam's apple.
Yeah.
I think it's an otherwise sweet moment that's
I
just
agree.
unfortunately kind of undercut by this use of the word way too often
Like
in such a
6
short
times.
time frame. Because she says like she just is very fortunate to have a lady friend
Right. It
who
was very
happens
sweet.
to have an Adam's
yes.
apple. Yeah.
Yes. Very sweet. But yeah, just Adam's apple. Like 6. Killed me.
Yeah, the town is prepping for the strawberry social. Everyone's looking great. They're red and they're wild. That's
I
the
love
theme.
it.
Red and wild.
But before the festivities begin, Dullard shows up in his cop car. He's on a megaphone.
Somehow gets onto the front deck of this building.
Yeah.
He has the whole town surrounded.
That's my favorite line. The scene starts with them driving. Like, I've got the whole town surrounded.
He's one man in one cop car. But I guess there's only like 15 people in this town. So, I mean, I don't know. Math is hard.
I don't know what his plan was, but
Yeah, he's got a shotgun in hand.
On the roof. Yeah.
He's like, y'all, all you people in town are good. Just give them up. Give up these drag queens who I have not said they're wanted for any crime other than I want them.
Yeah.
right.
So we think Vita goes out to confront him.
Yeah.
But plot twist, it's Carol Ann. And Carol Ann says, I am a drag queen, which is like the biggest plot twist in history. I did not see that twist coming, guys. Did you see it?
No, I did not
see
shout
that.
it at the TV. It's Carol Ann. Look at that snatched waist.
Right.
That snatched little waist right there, girl.
I was like, all right, stalker, get it.
Yeah, I love how they show Patrick Swayze about to like go outside. They make you think she's going to go outside. But when they cut to what is Carol Ann walking outside, she's, like you said, different body type,
Very different.
but also different dress.
Right.
A completely different dress as well.
Yeah.
So they're not hiding it very well. At this point, the whole town kind of steps up and like, I am a drag queen. I am also a drag queen.
Yeah. It's very cute. Solidarity.
Clara has the best one where she's like, hey, can I have my shoe back? And Dollar's like, are you a drag queen? She's like, nothing this pretty can be real.
I love it. I love it. So good.
Clara's the best.
Team
Love her.
Clara.
Absolutely. Favorite townsperson.
And then there's a point where Jimmy Joe is like, I'm a drag queen and starts dancing. And you could just see the Dollar's face like, oh my God, this is unlocking something inside of me.
He was into it. And then he cries and runs away.
Yeah.
While pointing his gun at everyone, just like flailing that gun
Yeah.
Just
all
not-
over.
yeah.
He drops his megaphone and everything else, and but keeps his gun though. But he leaves because the town gangs up on him. Virgil's also there, and Carol Ann just this is the dumbest part of the movie. Carol Ann just walks up and just looks at Virgil, and Virgil's like, you're right, I'll go.
I see. You're right. All that we've been through, that one look changed me, and now I'm going to slink away and retreat.
I wish it was that easy.
Right? God.
He's like, I got chicken nuggets in my car.
You got me.
good.
You got me.
I'll mix my own stew with no spices.
On my bland white people food.
Yeah.
The unnamed daughter of Carol Ann tries to find the drag queens, but they're hiding from her. I think they were just hiding in general because they didn't want to go out and confront the sheriff. But then they all come out of their hiding spots. And they sort of kind of come out to each other and kind of voice their aspirations or the lessons they've learned. Vita says she's going to go back to her home and tell her parents her approval is not needed, but I will take your acceptance. Noxima says, like, Vita, you were right the whole time. You got to take chances. You never know. I'm going to make Hollywood wherever I'm at.
Yeah, so sweet.
Which is amazing. And then Chi-Chi just kind of talks about, like, I'm going to find a good boy and find foundation closer to her actual skin tone.
That was my favorite.
That's good.
Which is funny because the whole movie I thought, like, her foundation's slightly off.
So pale. She was an ashy queen.
Dullard's still outside, mad. He rants to a bearded farmer guy walking his dog and
love that.
Says, like, the founding fathers didn't have this intended when they wrote, freedom for all. And the guy's like, one thing I know about the founding fathers, they sure had fabulous wigs.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, they did.
Mm-hmm.
The town's population, good news, has increased tenfold.
Yeah, there's so many more people now.
Nice.
They're all dancing on the big tables.
Love
There's
it.
precisely like one strawberry pie shown.
Everyone is slaying.
Right, they were. Yeah.
Everyone's slaying. Clara tells Noxie, hey, here's this letter to Robert Meacham. When you get to Hollywood, please give this to him. And
The rehabbed rednecks come.
Yeah, now they look great.
Yeah,
the dude
they're
has
rehabbed.
combed his hair.
Yeah.
He put
Yeah.
on a shirt.
Show their new manners. Yep.
They have
His
manners.
voice is a little higher,
Yeah.
higher pitched.
Yeah. Yep.
I love that Chi-Chi's in the car and the women are like saying bye to her, and Chi-Chi starts telling them about a comic book. They're like, okay, bye.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Wait, can we talk? There's one moment where they're like doing a little dance number, and it's like a trifecta moment, and I just can't get over Vita being so robotic with it.
So
I just,
yes. Yeah.
Really? They
Yeah.
look like animatronics at like a
Yes.
Disney ride.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
so funny.
So good.
I just had to mention that.
Yeah.
It was a good moment.
And it's hilarious because Patrick Swayze can dance.
He can.
Yeah.
He can.
dance.
He's a great dancer.
It just was like, of all of the things that you
Right.
could have
Right.
choreographed,
Yes.
it was that.
Yes.
But
Yep.
whatever.
We get this really touching scene again with Vita and Carol Ann kind of saying goodbye. Vita asks Carol to come with her, but she can't. She has children, right?
She
She's
said-
got
Yeah.
children.
She
Oh,
said-
yeah. What a drag.
No heart.
Queen.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
She says she loves her. I've waited my whole and this is the best part of the movie, I think, for me, is Vita says, like, I've waited my whole life to hear someone say those words
Yeah.
set to this name.
Mm-hmm.
It's
so
tugged in my
sweet.
heartstrings. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Vita's like, hey, if you're not going to come with us, I have something even better. And she goes and grabs the framed autographed photo of Julie Newmar and hands it to her.
Which really has not been a big deal at all.
No.
In this movie.
No, it's not at
At the
all.
very end, they're like, here, it's something really precious to us. Oh, I kind of forgot about it, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very full circle
Right,
moment.
right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Well, Julie Newmar kind of set them on this
Yeah,
quest.
she did.
Now,
She did. That's
and
fair.
now Carol Ann's going to begin her own quest
Yeah.
of
Yes.
finding
I love
herself.
it.
Passing the torch.
And you get to see that Carol Ann also thinks that Julie Newmar is statuesque, and
Yeah.
they really are
Love
kind
that.
of
They're bonded.
in a weird way. They're bonded
They're soul
soulmates, you know,
sisters.
soul sisters. Yes.
Mhm.
And she does kind of this clunky, like, I don't think of you as a man or as a woman. I think of you as an angel. But Vita's response fucking slays.
Kills me.
I think that's healthy.
I think that's something. right.
I love that so much. I cackled.
Like giving her grace to this
Right.
potentially
Right.
rude thing.
You don't
but
know what you're saying right now, but that's okay.
That's all right. That's
Yeah.
okay. You meant good
Like,
intentions.
That's
yeah,
healthy.
the intention behind what you're saying is good.
good.
It
Right.
just is a little strange.
Right.
But so the trio drive off. Thankfully, they move the big giant table to the side of the road so they can drive down the middle of the street.
right.
And then we cut to the actual American drag queen competition, and they're about to announce the winner. We see like all these other amazing performers,
Gorgeous queens.
and then you see Noxima and Vita show up. They're not the winner. Who is Chi-Chi Rodriguez, baby?
Chi-Chi.
Yay, Chi-Chi.
Who looks stunning.
fucking
So great.
awesome.
Yeah, she was giving me like almost bodyguard-esque, or no, not Whitney Houston. She's giving me more
No,
hold on.
who's the woman in Cabaret?
cabaret.
Sally Bowles,
Liza Minnelli. She's
Oh.
giving me Liza Minnelli.
Oh, okay. I didn't get that. but
actual character from Cabaret.
yeah. I
Yes.
didn't get that, but yeah, she looked great. She looked beautiful.
She looks stunning.
And not tacky. You know, she was always a little tacky, but here she was, you know, her face was beat. It was perfect. She had that great blend on
Yeah.
her.
Yes.
She gave the eye move that she showed Bobby
Yeah.
Lee.
Right.
And Julie Newmar is there to give her the crown. And
I loved that.
She was serving face. She was really
She
serving
was.
face.
She
Yeah.
was.
and that is the end of To Wong Foo. Thanks for everything,
Yeah.
Julie Newmar.
So good.
Yeah. I think we definitely skipped some steps and rushed that ending.
We did.
But, you know, hey, Chi-Chi won and it's great.
Chi-Chi.
And really that wasn't, even though that was supposed to be the like point of the movie, it wasn't the focus of the movie. So
No.
Yeah. So
But-
overall, I love that movie.
I do too.
it was great.
Thank you, Caley Sampson, for suggesting
Yes.
this movie. If you would like to tell us what movies to review in the future, you can go to patreon.com/streamingthings and sign up to the appropriate tier and many other tiers where you get all sorts of access to bonus content, polls, telling us what to do, access to the Discord, which is an amazing place with a ton of incredible people on there.
Very fun. Sometimes
Yeah.
unhinged.
Yes, oftentimes
Often.
unhinged. You can also interact with the show by leaving us a 5-star review wherever you listen to this podcast. You can write to us at streamingthingspod@gmail.com. Check us out on Instagram. We do a ton of stuff on Instagram at streamingthingspod. Or I'm sorry, streamingthingsofficial. Yeah, Streaming Things Official.
Streaming Things Pod Official.
That one. Erica knows it. I don't. It's only my show. I should know it. I don't know it off the top of my head. And then you can also visit us at streamingthingspod.com. And guys, there's a strike going on. I highly encourage you to pick up the Striking Things shirt, which is on our merch store, all the proceeds of which will go to the SAG-AFTRA Striking Fund. So please do that. Any last words from you guys before we turn off the mics here for this episode?
No tea, no shade. Like, for real, this was a great episode.
Yes, loved it.
Love this movie.
Slay all the way.
Slay all the way.
Hunty.
Yes. Get it, girl. So good.
Well, thank you all so much for listening to Streaming Things.
My name's Madison.
I'm Erica.
And I'm Steve. Happy streaming.